So my not a tech talk today is about working from home and the juggle of work-life balance. So I'm going to start in, need to get this block out of the way. I'm going to start in true, not a tech talk style and hit you with a deep and meaningful motivational. So Marcus Buckingham has written a couple of books, one of which I've got called Stand Out. And recently I was chatting to one of our executives from the London office, Ricky, and he sent me some links for Marcus Buckingham. So I went onto his Twitter page, and this was the first quote that I saw. Don't ask the question, how can I find work-life balance? But instead ask, how can I move through each of the domains of my life? Work, parenting, friendships, hobbies, community, and draw the nourishment that I need to keep moving. So I'll just give you that for your pipe. And then another inspiration that I received was from one of our directors and one of my personal mentors, Maxine. The one day someone was busy speaking about their work-life balance and how they were struggling with it. And Maxine gave an analogy that sort of resonated with me. This was a couple of years ago. I haven't forgotten it, and I've used it a few times over the years when people have come to me regarding their work-life balance struggles. And the analogy that he used, this thing's very uncomfortable. The analogy that he used was around cups. So if you look at the different facets of your life, being your physical, your emotional, your work, your family, being a parent, if you're a parent, your social life, your spiritual life, I mean, all of those facets that we see over there, we look at them like cups. So, you know, you can't always have all of the cups full or all of the cups at the same level are imbalanced. However, at certain times of your life, you do need to give more attention to certain facets or elements. So, for example, if you're a new parent, you might need to focus a little bit on, you know, raising the infant and keeping them alive in the first year. And at other times when you are growing your career or moving into a different kind of role, or, you know, there's a project that's come up that is now in its infancy stage, you do at that point need to pour a little bit more into that cup. So in essence, work-life balance is not having a perfect balance at any given time of all of those elements, but it's over an extended period of time that you're feeding and supporting all of these elements. So that was essentially an analogy that stuck for me and resonated with me and kind of reminded me at certain points in my life where I went, okay, right now my focus is on family because of whatever kind of reason. And then you sort of pour a little bit more into that cup. So why is work-life balance so important? So balancing it out, oh, I'm not on that slide yet. Okay, let's go back. So in terms of filling up those cups and how we fill up those cups, so I looked at a few little pointers and tricks and, you know, tools that I could use. So certain things like intentional engagements. So if you're now focusing on your career, on your family, on whatever it is that you have intentional engagements with all of the elements, all of the things that you're doing. So you actually set up appointments for those things. So let's say, for example, you want to do crazy things like Gus and apparently Danae are doing this weekend, 200 kilometers of cycling. You would then set intentional appointments to make sure that you're training the adequate time so that you can get, you know, to those goals. It's hobbies, prioritizing your health. I mean, all of these things that we all know, but we need to actually be intentional about them. So, you know, humans, we're funny things, we're funny creatures. We look at time continuums. And often, you know, the end of a year is a reflection. And the beginning of the year is an opportunity for resolution and for new beginning. For some people, it's birthdays, that kind of thing. So what reflection are you looking at now in your life as 2022 is coming to a close and we're heading into a new year? What is the reflection that you're having in terms of all of the facets of your life? And what are the intentional choices that you're making and the steps that you're making? So looking at your life now, you've got to ask yourself, is this working for me? So it's something that every single person should look at, like the way my life is going now, is it working for me? And if it's not, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're the one that's responsible to change it. So what are your intentions that are going to help you to do that? Okay, so then back to the slide that I was actually supposed to be on. The reason why we're discussing work-life balance and balancing the different elements of our life is so that it doesn't lead to something we call burnout. So burnout, it's a very text-heavy slide, but in essence is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. I'd just like to iterate that stress and burnout are two very different topics or subject matters or diagnoses, if you want to call it that. So you're feeling emotional, overwhelmed, and you just actually don't have that energy or that drive to carry on. And the thing with burnout is that it affects all of the facets or elements of your life. So when you're burnt out, you could be burnt out from a family perspective, from a home life perspective, from a work perspective. It will fall out into the other elements. And this is why the balance is so important. So as much as, you know, we want to encourage career growth and career development and all of that, is how are we balancing that out to prevent the burnout? Okay, so just going to run quickly through the elements or the symptoms that you can get for burnout. So physically, you feel tired and drained. You're often getting sick, loss of appetite or gaining appetite, sleeping habits change, either insomnia or excessive sleep. On an emotional level, it's a sense of failure, of self-doubt, of feeling helpless, trapped, defeated, loss of motivation. So all of the really doom and gloom emotional elements that none of us want to be in. And then behaviorally, it's a withdrawal from responsibilities, isolating from others, procrastinating. So actually like just withdrawing from things that you would generally love to do or generally enjoy doing. So you don't wake up with that vigor anymore. Excessive use of food, drugs, or alcohol as a coping mechanism, and then skipping work or being late or leaving early, that kind of thing. So dealing with burnout, there's the 3 R's: recognize, reverse, and resilience. So recognize is looking out for the signs of burnout. Reversing is to undo the damage that is being caused, because it is a long-term process that you are responsible for you know, doing again the intentional behaviors to try and get yourself out of it. And then the resilience by taking care of your physical and emotional health. So someone once said to me, if you have control over your habits and it was your habits and, oh, why did it skip me? One of my favorite isms, quotes. If you have that mental control over your habits and your routines, then you actually have control over your life. So if you're able to control the things that, or control and monitor those routines, you're able to essentially control your life. So turning to people, this is, I think, one of the most important ways that we can look at this. That's reaching out, being sociable, coming to the office, eating the free cookies, having the coffee. If you're working from home and you're starting to feel like, you know what, like my energy is drained, come to the office, come and chat to your team members, come and spend time with other team members, you know. I think it's so important, the socialization. And I see a lot of people who were for prolonged periods of time working from home and came in and said, you know, I feel a renewed energy. So there is that camaraderie in community, which is very, very important. Reframing the way that you're looking at your work, finding value in your work, have the conversations with your team leads, have the conversations with your HR person, have the conversations with your peers. You know, this is what's going on. What is your recommendation? This is what's working for me. How can we enhance that? And then reevaluating your priorities. So things like setting boundaries for yourself. Setting boundaries in the sense of, okay, now it's time for family. Now it's time for work. Now it's, you know, it's setting those boundaries, especially if you're living with people while working from home. You need to set those boundaries for, guys, this is my work time now. Tech out is one of my favorite things to do, as people know who message me after 8 p.m. Tech out is where you literally take your screen time and switch it off. If I go to my family on a Sunday, I put my phone in the car and I only look at it again on my way back home. So taking out is very important. Also, a lot of research, and you can Google this, a lot of research has gone into LED screens before bedtime and the stimulus or the stimulus that it creates on your neurons. So taking out, I think, is one of the most important things, switching off notifications at the end of the day when you're not in your work space anymore, or on a weekend, or you know, just for a morning, on a Sunday morning or a Sunday afternoon, take out. You don't have to respond to every message on a Sunday that comes through. Nourish creativity. So we had paint night at BBD. We've got quiz night coming up. Are we engaging in all of the elements that make us up? We've got left side brains, right side brains. A lot of people in this room, I think, would be engaging a lot in the technical side of their cognition. What are you doing for creativity? You know, take an art class, do a pottery class, redecorate your house, whatever it is. Build a cool game. Thanks, Veronique. Okay, and then set time aside to relax. I've got a friend who's a CA who literally books time in her calendar to relax. So it works for her, maybe it will work for you. And then the most important one, guys, take leave, take a break. For those who are overextended and are sitting in high balances, I think the best thing for work-life balance is to actually just take some time to disconnect, to reconnect with other things, with other elements in your life. I think that's one of the most important things. I mean, who doesn't like a little bit of a vacay, hey? And then ways to increase productivity. So be like Nike instead of be like Mike. I don't know if this audience remembers Bad Boys or if giving my age away. But generally, if you tackle the task that you're dreading the most first thing in the morning, you will probably feel a sense of accomplishment and have a more productive day, as opposed to being concerned about that task for the whole day and procrastinating everything else until you actually get to it. So tackling the most difficult task, or the most onerous one, or the one that you really don't want to do, first thing in the morning, tackling it and closing it off is a very effective tool to psychologically frame your mind into a productive state. Oh, my English airtime's finished. Okay, so first things first. For me, I have my own personal little things that I do. You need to find what it is that works for you. For me, the first thing I do after my coffee, of course, is open my calendar. I open my calendar and see what time are my meetings, and in between the time slots, what time blocks can I allocate to what tasks based on the duration or estimated duration of those tasks. Trusting the small increments. So Rome wasn't built in a day. Again, that goes to breaking down your tasks, breaking down the things that you're doing into small increments that are manageable and can help you then go, okay, I know that I've got to do this and this and this and this. I feel so overwhelmed. So break it down. Let's tackle this piece before lunch. And, you know, after lunch, I'll tackle that piece, and you can sort of work your way through that. Then being accountable, forgiving yourself, staying on track. One of the big ones is celebrating wins and rewards. You know, we often beat ourselves up for a tiny mistake and forget that the things we did do that was worth applauding or awarding for ourselves. Clean up your desk. So having a dedicated workspace in your home, which I'll go to now when we talk about work from home, is have a clean space or a workable space for yourself. It's clear reflection, and there is a psychological tie to the environment that you're in. Have a clean space, a space that you're ready and that's dedicated to your work. Taking breaks, of course, obvious things that we all know. your posture. There was a talk with a chiropractor during lockdown. It probably is still sitting, Kate, on the YouTube channel if you want to go back and have a look at that. By the way, that YouTube BBD channel has a lot of nice talks that you can go back to. Another trick that I do is calendar or pop-up reminders for self-care. So actually literally set up that calendar reminder for, okay, break time, or, you know, okay, go outside for 5 minutes and take a few breaths time. And then to-do lists, so either electronic or old school notepad. That's a nice way to end a day or start a day. So you can go, okay, as of tomorrow, sticky notes works nicely on the laptop. Tomorrow I want to accomplish these following things. In the morning, arrive, tackle those things first. You automatically put yourself up for productivity. And then muting distractions. So if you really, like if you're busy on a bug that's really difficult and onerous and whatever, mute the distractions. So you don't have to instantly respond to every single message that you're receiving, obviously, unless it's urgent, but mute the distractions. If it's WhatsApp, whatever it is that's causing those distractions, mute them. Cool. So then tips for working from home. I think this is very important. A lot of, I think the HR team will be able to tell you that some people did struggle a little bit with the transition from, you know, working full time at the office to working from home, and now the hybrid approach. So creating a morning routine. I think this is the most important thing, is wake up at a certain time every morning and get dressed for work. Have a shower, make your bed, and get dressed for work. Even if it's winter, I will wake up, have a shower, put on clothes, like work clothes, and then put my pajamas over them. But psychologically, I'm in my work clothes, so I'm ready for work. I think this small little change and tweak that you make into your day automatically sets you up for work day. I even use different mugs for my weekend and for my work day. This is my work mug. My weekend, I have my big mug. But yeah, it's small little changes that you can make that will really help you with your productivity. Personal hygiene, that is that shower in the morning, you know, just taking care of yourself, like get up and get ready as if your leader or a colleague or a friend were to arrive at your door at any minute. So, you know, wake up, brush your teeth, you know, have that shower, just feel fresh and ready for the day. So do exactly what you would have done when you were coming to the office, minus the commute and traffic. And then again, creating the working space, which is a clear working space around you. Although it might be tempting to just choose different, you know, spots in the house where you can slouch and do your job, have a dedicated space that this is my workspace. And also, if you live with other people, have them respect that that is your workspace. Maintaining regular hours, which again speaks to waking up at the same time every morning or at a similar time. And then setting ground rules, specific breaks, and then also leave your home ever so often. So, you know, get some sun, move your body, come visit the office again, get snacks. So it is really important not to get stuck into that, oh my God, I haven't actually walked out of my front door for 4 days. Even if it's at the end of your workday, take a walk around, get some sun, get some fresh air, don't get stuck in that space. And then socializing with colleagues, FaceTime. So sometimes, I mean, specifically for people who live alone, you might be feeling a little bit isolated and a little bit like, I need some human interaction. Dial up a friend, like, hey, dial up one of your colleagues, like, hey, can we do a coffee chat? And do that, encourage that. And then end your day with a routine again, shut down at the end of your day. So let's say, for example, 6 p.m. you finished working, shut down, switch it off, note to self. All right, then another thing that I wanted to touch on is if you're studying or completing a certification while you're working, the first tip or trick for this is set the exam date. So I know a lot of people are aiming towards AWS and Azure qualifications or certifications. A lot of you sitting there have just completed yours. Well done. But set the exam date first, because now you've got a timeline to work towards, so you can't procrastinate it. Schedule study dates for yourself. For me, the main trick is just like Jim, never miss a Monday. Clearly, I've done a lot of that. But schedule an actual time slot for your studies. So 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. on a Monday night, I'm now dedicating an hour to my studies. Okay. Find your best concentration time. So all of us have different concentration times. For some people, it's early hours of the morning. Ask Tony what time he woke up when he was busy doing his dissertation. For other people, it's late at night. So find your best study or concentration time and then schedule those times for yourself. You don't have to automatically in your calendar 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm going to have study time. Start slow. Literally every second day, break up your modules or your certification into consumable blocks. Pomodoro technique, there's a lot of apps out there. Pomodoro is 25 minutes because studies have suggested that concentration time is 25 minutes with breaks of 5. Pomodoro technique is actually a nice way for you to zoom into concentration mode, take a break, zoom into concentration mode. Phone apps, we just spoke about it. This one, a bit of a controversial one. I don't know if it works in the tech world. Skip chapter 1. Chapter 1 is always the most boring. It's the historical chapter of whatever that subject matter is about, because if you go into chapter 2, you're already going into the nitty-gritties of what you want to learn about. So maybe read over chapter 1. I don't know if this works in the tech world, Francois, but yeah, skipping chapter 1 because you're getting over the historical things and going straight into the nitty-gritty of whatever the subject matter was that interested you. Eliminating distractions, of course, then brain food, healthy, nourishing diets, taking stretch breaks. And then Kaylee is actually my friend's name. So the reason why I put Kaylee there is because she successfully completed her chartered accountant degree cum laude at the age of 26, and she only studied 4 hours a day. I was like, what? So she said to me what she did. She literally booked out those 4 hours. And when she wasn't studying, she did not worry about her studies at all. She was by the pool, she was socializing with friends, and she passed cum laude. But when she was in her disciplined study time, she had made a timetable of exactly what she would cover during those time blocks and how she would get to her exam based on that and cover all of the material. And then she didn't have any exam stress. I remember going out with her the night before her exam, and I'm like, this is not normal human behavior. But she passed cum laude. And then just to remind everyone, so with the work-life balance and all of these elements, there is BBD does offer the Discovery Health Healthy Company Employee Assistance Program. Bianca often sends out nice little blurby communications around that. You can chat to anyone in the HR team, so you can use the app, download the app onto your phone. It's completely confidential. We do not get your name. We do not know who you are, and there is support there physically, emotionally, legally, and financially. Cool. If you didn't watch the movie, you won't get the reference.